Okay, folks, here we are, Monday night. Painting session happening. And we'll put away some of this stuff for the time being right now. Let's do a little bit of a cleanup. Let's do a little bit of a cleanup as people show up. Get this box here. So we're going to throw these Amorites in just to get them out of the way. All this stuff that we pulled out yesterday that we were trying to make some headway while the papal figures were drying. Let's go ahead and get them out of the way here. We're going to be working on these guys soon, but right now we need to clear this work area. What are these anyways? Oh, this is medieval stuff. All right, let's get rid of that. And we'll do a little progress report here once people wake up from wherever they're at. I tried to do it as early as I could. Still only managed 7 o'clock. For the Europeans fall asleep. Alright. Let's put this stuff away. I'd do it earlier, but, some of us have to work. Unfortunately. Or, fortunately, whatever. Alright. Did quite a bit yesterday. I never did count out how much time between all the I think there was 3 painting sessions I did yesterday. How much I got done, but it takes a while. It takes a while to do all this stuff. So all right, let's put these guys in the box. Now I just have to remember what box I put these guys in. We'll just set it down here at the bottom. We'll come and mess with them relatively soon. So here's what we have of the Pope so far. Really happy with it turned out, but also a wrinkle that happened that I'm going to have to deal with. And like I said before, is unlike many other channels that don't show any adversity or things that go wrong, I'm not afraid of showing you the mistakes that I make or what have you, because it might be helpful. I'm not perfect. I wish I was. But I can't even find my foamy thing. Where'd my foamy thing go? It's always up here. Well, that makes no sense that it's not here. That's what I propped this thing on to show you guys. Well, I hadn't counted on that adversity. Where'd it go? Alright. Fine, be difficult. Use this. I only have one of those things. I don't know what the heck it could be. Okay. This is what we have so far. So this is the Pope. I wish this would focus. Let's turn this around. This is the Pope and his chair and the green stuff mat that we put him on, that we painted a little bit this morning off camera. I don't like to paint off camera, but sometimes it happens. This morning I had like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, so we painted around the carpet there. So the problem I have is that I did not have the foresight to realize that the bases of these guards is super thick. And normally it isn't an issue because I glue them on the stand and then I build up the goop up to that. But the problem I'm going to have is it's so thick that I'm going to have to build it up so much higher than this carpet that it's not going to look right. Or I'm going to have to put bushes around them, which, you know, is possible. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually cut a little bit of this plywood down and see if that works so we could sink them probably half this distance. And then hopefully, because I tried grinding the bottom of this, yeah, I didn't get anywhere. And also by doing that at this stage, I'm going to have to grip this figure so hard that I'm going to put friction on it and possibly damage the paint job on it. So I don't really want to do that. So, you know, like I said, these things happen. Had I planned it a little bit better, and I even talked about this, is put this on a little mound. It wouldn't have had to be very tall, but just enough that when I sit these guys on, I could do that. Now, I don't want to go back and do that because I'm going to have to pop all of this off, unepoxy it, probably damage this and have to start over. So I really don't want to do that. Okay, so this is the next best option. Now, if this doesn't work, what I'm doing, then, you know, I can just cover this up with my ground material and it's not a problem. So we've just kind of cut down, this is plywood, so we're going to cut down like one layer of it and see how that looks. And it's only this figure. It's only because I don't even know the manufacturers of these guys, but they have really thick stands. You know, and I don't want to cut it laterally because it's just not going to work right. You know, so this is the next best thing, short of pulling all of this off the stand, which I really don't want to do. So I'll guarantee if I have to make a litter, again, I will take that into consideration because I've already had to deal with the adversity of this. All right. That's bigger than that. All right. But, you know, all the other, I'm not afraid of showing you mistakes. I'm going to make them, you know. Just when I want to go to bed, Tony pops up. Well, if it's any consolation, well, you're like retired anyways, right? Why don't you just change your schedule to mine and then we can just hang out together a little longer? Oh man, if any consolation, I would have preferred to be on here earlier, but you know, work and all that. If I didn't have so much overhead, I wouldn't have to be at work. Grab my little tool here. Now, I don't want to cut any more than, like I said, about this first layer of the plywood because I don't want it to lose integrity. But it's plenty thick that it could handle doing that. And I don't want to put this guy towards the edge. Again, this is learning. I may actually try fixing a mistake by making an even bigger mistake. You might as well move to Florida. I don't know. Not this time of year. It's so freaking hot. I was going to mow the lawn today, but I've spent so much time outside at work. I wanted nothing more than to drink liquids and take a shower. And I don't mean alcoholic liquids. I mean, you know, just, what do I got? A little bit of cranberry juice and water. Yeah, it's just so darn hot. Well, I got a notification yesterday evening that they did an update on our convention that my nightmare has almost come true. And it's really close to happening. But I have a contingency plan. And my nightmare is that they put a mask mandate back at the hotel, which is really up to the hotel. So if they do that, then all those games that we decided to run at the convention, that's all gone again. So which means I'll never make another video announcing what we're doing. I just figured it'd be a lot easier to just do a video. Hey, check out the video and we'll tell you what all the events are and what have you. But we're not doing that again. Obviously, it's a curse. Doing that as a public service is just creating more work and issues for everybody. Oh, is it going to rain now? Might as well. I'm not going to mow lawn today. You can stick it, Mother Nature. Okay, it's a little wider this way. This is actually not very a pain. So we'll still run the games. We'll just do them at the local clubhouse here in my town. If people want to show up, they do. And if they don't, well, then there'll just only be a handful of people. But and I'm also fine not going to the convention. You know? Oh, a little bit more. I think we can get a little closer to the edge here on this side. If we can do that. Oh, we have someone else show up. Welcome. Yo! Yo, back to you. That's actually a thing that I say. Not super awesome. Not super often, but you know, we all have our little sayings and things like that. I tend to use awesome a lot because I'm from the 1980s. Technically, I'm from the 1970s, but, you know, I was just a wee child in the 70s. Awesome. I use awesome a lot. I use yo. But these new kids, they say all kinds of weird things. Hella. What the hell is that? Oh, well. This should be about right. Okay, now he is at a more reasonable height to be able to put the material on. Now we're still going to epoxy him in there, and this side's a little bit, we could probably take some material off of this, but this actually looks like this will work. Contingency plan. I'm telling you, I'm like, okay, no problem. I'll get my little diamond bit. I guess it's diamond, whatever it is. It's extremely abrasive. Where is it? Had it here this morning. It just disappeared. Man, and I'm pretty freaking organized, and I still misplace things. I guess it's only going to get worse, isn't it? Anyways, I got a file that's like this but flat. It's got this little grindy, diamondy type material on it, and I'm like, I ran it across them, and it created all this like extra like metal filings and didn't get anywhere fast. So I'm like, that's not going to work. I don't have all week to do this. So the local clubhouse is at Mitch's place. No, it's in my neighborhood. It's civilized, and you got to wear shoes there. I live in a subdivision that has a little community thing, and we can rent it for free if it's open to the public. And my wife's like, do that, and then maybe somebody in the neighborhood will see that. Nobody will be interested in this, okay? Nobody cares about history. You know, prove me wrong. You know, but yeah, we'll do that if they put the mask mandate at the convention. So I got one guy that's traveling all the way from like 4 states over, and he's willing to come. He don't want to. I can't understand anybody. Forget no other any reason. You know, the whole reason to go to a convention is to socialize with people. You know, I don't want to socialize with people when wearing face masks. You know, there's only like 4 or 5 or 6 of us. It's not like we're going to be in a mosh pit of 600 people. So, look at that. That's pretty good. That's a lot better than this. Now we can taper up the material here, up that little distance, and it'll be fine. Overcoming adversity is fun. You're expecting it. Welcome, Brian. Yeah, I am too. I'm actually not surprised. There's too many people afraid to be sued. But that's okay. The show will go on. The show will go on. It's not a big deal. And if nobody shows up, nobody shows up, you know? And if we don't do it, then we don't do it, you know? But it is what it is. People say we live in interesting times. I'm like, interesting is not the adjective I would use. But, I have a feeling that what's going on now is probably going to go on for the rest of my life. I don't see an end. And just like 9/11, I just don't see things getting back to how things were in the 1980s. On any level. I think society has changed dramatically. The world has changed dramatically. And I'm not trying to be pessimistic, just, you know, it is what it is. So that's why we do this little game, to keep us away from whatever it is that we're doing. So it's a litigious society. It is. It is. I just want you to know that my people, my ancestors did not bring the lawyers over, okay? We just came over to rape the Indians and take all their gold, and then we freaking left. It was somebody else's people that brought the lawyers over. I'd like to think I wouldn't have done any of that stuff, but our own fault, really. Oh well, I'm going and I'm playing, mask or not. Okay, and you should. It's freedom, you know. And I'm not an anti-vax person, but I personally am not gonna get. I don't want I may or may not be vaccinated, and if I ever do, I'm not gonna tell people whether I am or not. That's just my own personal choice. I have all the vaccines of other things. I'm not one of those people. I'm just against, being, oh, well, you got to have this vaccine. Okay, well, then you got to wear a mask. No, you got to wear 2 masks. No, well, the vaccine you had, well, that one's no good. You actually need this other. You know, at what point does it stop? You know, so, and I'm not a person that's like, I'm going to go to Brian's house and I don't care if he doesn't want me there. I have a right to be there. No, it's your house, your rules, your hotel, your rules, and you need to abide by them. You know, if people say, you need to leave because this is not how you need to behave, you need to play by the rules. That's how I am. But, they can't force you to do stuff like that, so. I will trade you DeSantis for Como. Does anybody want Cuomo? Let's not talk about politics. Because we may agree on it, but we're not going to change anything. I don't like any politicians. And I dislike some more than others. No, I don't like politicians. I don't like politicians because they're litigators for starters. I want government to leave me alone. Okay, I think we're going to put this guy right here. Let's put a little marker here. In a perfect world, I'll never have to deal with an attorney. You know, all you got to do is just go to jury duty one time and you realize how inefficient government is. You know, I think jury duty is really interesting, but it's like, okay, can we move this along? I mean, Jesus, you know, I got stuff to do, man. I got to keep the economy moving. You know, I got things that are happening at work that they need me for. Can we do this like on a weekend or something? It's extreme waste of time. Oh, well. Last 2 times I got called for jury duty, and I get called about once a year. I guess they like me. The last 2 times, the time before the last one I got called at, what happened? The person didn't make it on the plane, and I shouldn't say jury duty. The last time I got called for jury selection, okay, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to serve, but you need to go there and all day. The person didn't make it on a plane because of weather, and they just excused us all. And the last time, which happened recently, it was like in May, it was, they said something like, they sent us something in the mail saying they settled it out of court and we weren't needed. Perfect. But it is interesting. It's just extremely inefficient. Pope looks good. I've wanted to see how much extra effort you put into those bases. Glad to see it. Basing sets great paint jobs apart. Well, this guy's really interesting. I made a little green stuff mad on him. But, you know, I just show everything how it is here. And if I make mistakes, I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. I want to be perfect. I do stuff with green stuff, and I honestly don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I'll admit, you know, there needs to be more of that in the world. There needs to be, if you don't know something, just say, I don't know. Not make up a story like, you know, people that you work with that do stuff like that. I don't know everything. And I don't know how to use green stuff. And I'll figure it out, sink or swim, you know. But I hadn't counted on the thickness of these bases being an issue. Had I put more thought into, I would have built this up, which I had talked about doing it, but I didn't think it needed to be done. But it does need it if your bases are that thick, and I've got to somehow hide it around it. So this should work fine. Just come down a little bit and put the stuff there. Let's take a look at this and see how the fit is. Oh, it's a lot bigger than that. Okay, let's cut this down a little bit. See, this stuff, what I'm doing right now, it seems like it takes a long time, and it does. But it's all moving in the same direction, okay? It's not like that didn't work and I have to start over, you know? So it may take a long time, but it will turn out okay. Just like my painting technique. Yeah, I'm not the fastest. Duh. But, you know, ultimately, as long as I'm happy with how it turns out, then it works. There's lots of painters. Is there a lot of painters? Well, I don't do Warhammer and stuff. I don't look at stuff in 28 millimeters. So just in the scales that I do, there's a few painters whose stuff I like better than my own. And that's motivating for me to do better. You know, and I'm not jealous of them. It's a trick. I know it now. Now this is a trick. So now 28 millimeter stuff. There's guys that just are, you know, wizards, and you know, that's why I don't do 28. I would have to spend, instead of 4 hours a figure, probably 10, 12. I just don't have time for that. You know, I don't have time to get that few different units done. Having the Pope adds a new meaning to the word baggage. It is. He's going to be the baggage element for this army when we do collision course. He is. The Pope. The best thing about playing with the Pope is the Pope jokes. And, you know, I make fun of everything, so Nothing's off limits. Certainly not some corrupt guy from the 13th century. Certainly not going to be off limits. Oh, man. Anybody see that? What's that movie that came on Netflix? The Two Popes or whatever? Is that any good? And you guys seen it? It's not my kind of movie to see. The only reason I would watch it is because the two people they cast to play those two people are like, they found people that look like them. I think they did a really good job of that. The story might be garbage. It might not be entertaining, but, is that element a command post? It is a litter. It is a litter. You and Steve are my 15 millimeter inspiration. Steve does some great stuff. I just had a hard time with anything less than 20 millimeter anymore. I'll figure it out again. Do you do 20s? 20s is the scale that I'm all about. They just don't do 15s. Yeah, Steve does great stuff. He was actually one of the people that got me inspired to do a better job on my basing. Him and Ruben Torregrosa. He's amazing. So when I get a nice compliment, when you get a nice compliment from somebody you look up to, that's what means a lot. That makes you feel good. Ultimately, it still is more important if I like it. Okay, but when you get a nice compliment from someone that that you look up to, that you appreciate them, and you know that those guys don't cut corners. They take a long time painting stuff too. They just they don't have any other hobbies, I'm sure. Which you can't watch TV, sitcoms, and paint. I mean, unless you can do all that stuff while you're painting. This just takes a long time, but this is therapy. I was going to say something. Something was on the tip of my tongue when I mentioned something about those other guys that... yeah, there's some really good painters out there. Oh, so as far as Facebook groups and stuff like that, I've recently gotten a sportier car, so I joined a Facebook group for that particular vehicle. And car people are just horrible. I mean, you guys go to wargaming sites on Facebook, and there's some people there that like to stir the pot and just be negative and cause trouble. You have no idea. The car people I've encountered are just nasty. Instead of just like, somebody says, hey, here's my new wheels or whatever. Dude, if you don't like something, look the other way. There's no reason to be nasty about somebody and bringing them down. And it is just, it's horrible. They're like petulant children. I went to a car meet on Sunday. I'd never been to one before, and I ran into 3 guys, and they were super freaking cool. Well, there was more than 3 people, but I ran into 3 guys that had the same model vehicle I have, and they were super chill and cool, and and nobody was trying to outdo each other, and hung out for about an hour and a half, and can't wait to do that again. That's what a hobby should be. Should be positive, not this trying to outdo each other, and at least that's what it is for me. I'm not interested in that kind of drama. We need to make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, this car people are horrible. You inherited Pat's 20mm Spanish Civil War line. That's my only so far, though. I'm thinking biblical armies at some point. Great figures by Caesar. Aren't those the figures? So you have the molds to those. I believe those figures were originally, I could be wrong, were cast by the sculptor of those figures is my freaking hero, which is Dave Alsop from Combat Miniatures, who's the one that got me into 20mm figures, because I freaking love his castings, because the styling is very similar. This is my shitty basing. Here's an example of how not to do basing. But this is Dave Alsop's figures that I got back in the 90s from Emperor's Outpost in Tampa, back when we used to make road trips for them. And I believe everything's mirror image, so I got to do things backwards. Hotspur, exactly. I believe that's who he used to work for. Yeah, I think he passed away in the early 90s. He was working on a car and it rolled over on him or something like that. I believe these are... Yeah, he's my freaking hero. He's my hero sculptor. Never met him, don't know what he looks like. He might have been an asshole in real life. I have no idea. But he is my hero sculptor. And people say, hey, who's your hero? I don't have any. Yeah, that guy. I literally... if I did something like Napoleonics, or I would definitely go towards all of the figures that he did, because I just love his style. So... There's actually some 20mm figures for World War I figures made by a company called, give me a second here, Tumbling Dice, that are really similar style to Dave Alsop's cast. And I've come close to playing, to wanting to play a World War I skirmish game. What is that? That Blood and Iron or something like that, and then do it in 20mm with those Tumbling Dice sculpt. But, you know, I've got my hands full just doing this for this silly little game. So, you know, painting even more figures for something else is that's just too much of an ask. You know, I've come to the realization that I can't do it all. So I've got to pick and choose. And this game isn't perfect, but it works for me. Yeah, Dave Alsop, man. We took a trip down to Emperor's Outpost in the mid-90s, and they had these things on the wall, and they were just... I was fascinated by how they looked, and every figure was different, and they had character. I just fell in love with them. So, further proof that the wrong people die. Except Hitler. By the way, there's a Netflix show called, I believe it's called Love, Death, and Robots. And in season 2, there's one that talks about going back in time and killing Hitler multiple times. And it's absolutely hilarious. It's animated. It's a little short. It's like 7 minutes long. It's freaking hilarious. So, check that out. Unless you're a fan of Hitler, and then you probably don't want to see that, but, you know, screw you. B&B RCW line, would love to acquire them at some point. They match up well and satisfy my isoter period needs. Okay. Russian Civil War. Man, Russian Civil War would be cool. Have you, have you played the Perfect Captains Russian Civil War game? It's called Red something, or I don't know. It's Red. Yeah. Russian Civil War. Yeah, Russian Civil War is an interesting period. You got tanks, you got all kinds of interventionist forces, commie bastards riding horses. I like Eastern Front World War II because it's like, you know, which bad guy you want to play. You start getting into Russian Civil War, and it's like, I'm going to start taking sides because, you know, I'd like to say I'm the most anti-communist person around, but, you know, I'll play anybody in a game, but I definitely would side with the non-communists for sure. Even though I'm sure they did bad stuff, and, They had to do bad things, otherwise the commies wouldn't have took over, right? I mean, if the Tsar was such a good guy, then they wouldn't have revolted, from him. I get it. I understand that. You have not. I've done some Peter Pig rules, but will likely do a bolt action variant for sanity. The Peter Pig figures are really cool. They have a very unique look to them. There's no factions or nations I wouldn't play in a game. I would play people that I would think would be very unsavory. I have no problem playing any of the World War II people. I'm not a fan of the Mongols. I think that anybody who just destroys stuff just for the sake of destroying things is not a good guy in my book. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of the Mongols. I'd still play them, though. Lots of people are Mongol fans. I don't know why. I don't get it. Well, maybe because your civilization hasn't been destroyed by them. Not that mine was, or my ancestors, but I'm just saying, Okay, so we sunk them a little enough that we should be good now. The only thing is I can't change where I want to put the guy. So once they're there, they're there. So I know we're going to put another guy here. We're going to have this kneeling monk dude back here. He's kind of in this pose like a little, yes, master, yes, master. A little bit like that. I don't know if I need to sink him. I probably will for good measure. The other one's going to go back here. This guy's like almost on no stand, so we don't have to worry about him. We can just put him where it is. I think we're going to peek him over, like he's peeking out towards the back. And that'll help put the flag that's sitting at this angle a little bit. And then we'll put him, say like that. I think that's how this stand is going to lay out. A lot going on there. But, you got to put some guards because it actually fights pretty decent. Anyone try Crossfire with him? I did it for the Spanish Civil War, and it was fun. Just not a good group game. I've never played Crossfire. Square bashing. Mr. Heine, welcome. Setting up the coaling station in Australia for the von Space fleet. I thought that. I'm like, a guy with that last name in Australia. Oh, you're the secret agent is setting up a coaling station for von Spee to get out. I wish there was a really good game. I know there's a Surface Raider World War I game. This is kind of abstract. It looks kind of cool. I don't remember. It's a card-driven game. I don't know what it is, but man, I've read several books about not necessarily the big actions, but the other stuff. That's some really fascinating, just really fascinating stuff. Like say they could make it in a movie, but they would just ruin it. They just like they ruin just about every movie. They would really ruin it bad. But there's some antics that happened there with the Dresden after the Battle of the Falklands. That's just was hiding out in the Tierra del Fuego and those, I'll call them fjords, even though they're not necessarily fjords, but that's a movie in and of itself. But I'll admit it, I'm definitely partial to the Germans in World War I. I like to play the Germans in World War I. Okay. Rather than sink them, why didn't you sand like you did with the Pope? I did, and it took forever. I wasn't getting anywhere. I tried it this morning, and I spent probably 15 minutes on one guy. It didn't work. Square bashing is fun. I have to keep groups in mind for my games because my local garrison likes to play bigger games with multiple players aside. It's just not normal gaming anymore. Yeah, I don't like to play those games. I don't like to play those games if I have to supply all the stuff. Those days are over. I'm not going back to that. I'm not a tournament player. I just started playing this tournament game because it was a way for me to show up with my toys and play with them. Because that's my incentive to get more of them. Otherwise, I'm just like, I'm just going to show up and Brian will supply everything. And, you know, for people that don't paint, that's probably a good solution. But as a painter, I have to do all that extra work. I have to worry about people mistreating the figures, which has happened at a convention. I did stop going to conventions. I went to a convention in 96 and didn't go to another one until 2001. I had a bad experience with a player. It wasn't somebody in our group. It was just some random guy that showed up, and he was very ham-fisted. And, you know, this hobby takes me a lot of time and effort to do. I don't need to redo things I've already done. You know, we need to keep moving forward, not going back and fixing things. So, and he was an asshole, too. So, you know, it wasn't like, you know... it does wear you out. Yeah, yeah, I need to paint my own stuff. I don't mind people using my figures, but, you know, one of the nicest things, and I mentioned this the other day, one of the nicest things you can do to me is let me paint something for you, which is really rare, okay? But I've done that for other people. And then you see them, and they're so excited that they get something from me that they take really good care of it. So they're like, no, we need to be careful with this and make sure this doesn't break it. That's like the nicest thing you can do to me. And you know, I've only made a handful just because I have a limited amount of time. But appreciate the work that I've spent on it, and that's like the best thing you can do. Forget giving me money. I don't care about that. Fortunately, I don't care about that. But Mitch has a couple things from me, and Luke has something as well, and they're really careful with it, and they're really proud of having it, and that's like the nicest thing you can do. And it's like, you know, I really appreciate that. So Luke has this artillery piece that always kicks ass for him, and it's the one I painted, and I don't even care. I played him one time, and I said, I don't care if I lose as long as that artillery piece kicks ass, and it did. I don't want to paint losers. This isn't taking that long. This is fun. This is reverse, I don't know, whittling or something like that. This is working all right. I just needed to reduce the base size. You know, had I had the foresight, I should have built this up. I just didn't want to lay all this goop, put goop only over where the carpet's going to be, then fold the carpet down. There was just too many variables. I wanted to keep this flat. I just didn't think that having somebody this close to the carpet with that much of a height difference, I was going to have to build it up. You know, it's basically you would have the carpet sitting in a depression. It's not going to look right. I could build it up a little bit, you know, but I think this is going to work just fine. So it's about respect. Yeah, not enough people have respect anymore. Not enough people have honor, integrity. My boss calls it integrity. I'm even older school. I call it honor. You just don't do certain things. There's another Facebook group that I joined that's hilarious. The name of it is You Park Like a Fuckhead. And people post people just being disrespectful how they park. And it is some hilarious, off the wall, I can't believe this really happened kind of stuff. And yeah, there's some crazy stuff there. Just disrespect for fellow humans, you know, that didn't do wrong to you. Because I'm all for going after somebody who did you wrong, but for no reason, nah, not worth it. I'm not a turn the other cheek kind of person, but I also don't go off looking for fights, you know. There's some funny stuff out there. But I fully expect the convention to, not the convention, the hotel to mandate that. It is what it is. I'm not surprised. I'll never do another video, because that's 2 in a row. There's not going to be a third one saying what we're going to run at conventions, because it just feels like, you know, the carpet gets pulled out from under us. That's fine. Maybe I'm the one doing it. It's my superpower causing all that to happen by doing a promotional video for it. But I feel like this one didn't go down deep enough. Let's cut it down a little bit more. Now let's see. Yeah, I tried to grab the guy this morning. I don't even know where the hell I put that file. Let's see if I can find it here. It's a heavy freaking duty file. And it wasn't budging. It was not budging at all. I don't know where I put it. But it had an end on it. Like this. It was flat. It was from Army Painter. And it wasn't budging it at all. You know, it's got like this diamond type stuff, which is extremely abrasive. And the alloy of this figure was so hard that I'm like, I don't have a friggin' week to spend on it. And what was happening is I had to grip the figure tight. So I'm scuffing and putting pressure on the paint. I don't want to have to repaint the figure and all of it. So, would you be interested in demoing some DBA at our Ocala store? I don't know. Probably not. It's a long trip. I've done a couple of demos and been really unsatisfied that people didn't show up. Personal time is really, really limited. All I hear about is everybody like having time off and being off work, and I got too much work. I got too much work at work, so probably not. Only because of that. They could check out the videos, though. We have a ton of them, you know. We've run some games, and we ran some games at a pub. Nobody even came by and looked at it. You know, it's... I mean, if I would have seen some kind of a game when I would have been all over that and didn't know about it. But I don't know, it just appeals to certain people. You know, a lot of it is like family time. You know, when I'm not at work, it's kind of pretty much family time, other than, you know, we game on Monday nights, and I wish we didn't, because it's a royal pain in the ass for me when I've worked all day and I'm hot all day, and then have to go and get all the gear to film a game and stuff like that. So that's really the reason I'm not gaming tonight. I'm not doing a video. I'm like, I just don't have it in me. It's just there's too much stress and trying to get off work at a certain time, and things don't go right, and you know, trying to stay calm at work about it all, because it's like, you can leave work every single day early unless you need to go to something, and then you can't. And on top of that, have to get all the gear to film over there, and then after all that, then get rewarded with having to edit a video. And I'm like, I just don't. I need to finish these. I need to finish these 2 armies for the con. But normally, I would have already booked my room for the con. But something happened with hotels 5 or 7 years ago. But at the same time, remember where you used to like get gas, and you could like get gas, pump gas, and then go in to pay, right? We're never going to go back to that. I mean, I never walked out with any gas. I mean, well, I use a credit card anyways, or a debit card, so it's not really an issue for me. But the hotel's not require you to purchase the room first and then try to get your money back. And I'm like, I don't want to book a room at this hotel and then find out, in a month that I'm not going to go, and then go through the not being able to talk to people that can get things accomplished. Welcome. Good morning, Studio WGS. So that's normally that's why I signed up for the games already. I didn't do that until it looked like the convention was a go. So hopefully it won't come to that. I do want to see, hang out with folks. I've said it before. I'm perfectly happy to go to the convention and not even play any games and just hang out with the folks there. But I can't understand people behind a mask. I don't hear well to begin with. And, I can't understand folks. So it's better that I don't go if that's what the situation is. If you want to go, that's fine. It's freedom. You should be able to, And it's their house. They can make whatever rules they want. They can say everybody that comes in there, they got to wear pink pants. Well, I don't want to wear pink pants. Well, I guess you better not set foot in their house. I mean, Like, my house is no pets. You have pets, don't bring them in my house. Our house gets dirty enough and dusty without having pet hair, Your house, your rules. Where did that file go? I had it this morning. I don't have a messy work area. That stuff drives me crazy. Well, pretty soon I'll be old enough that I'll start going senile, and I won't give a shit that I can't find it. I'll just be like, ooh, bumbling around, The bumbler. Yeah, I don't like being incompetent. I'd much rather be an asshole than incompetent. There's nothing satisfying about being incompetent. Oh, well. Stuff happens. We show all our ugly mistakes here, Yeah, Steve Dean doesn't do videos, so, it's like, man, that guy never makes any mistakes. Oh, yeah, he does. He gets one of his spaniels that knocks something over, and you guys don't get to see it. I know that he's got 4 head of spaniel or something like that run around with him. He's a good painter. Okay, we got to be done with this one now. All right, that'll work. That's not much of a difference there. Okay. Last one. Now we got to be careful. We've got one here, because this was not going to be on the corner. We've got the monk, that we'll worry about him later. We've got the flag bearer that we're not going to put on a stand yet. Because, what I'm going to do now is, the next step is, I got to put the goop everywhere except where these figures are going to be. Then paint the goop, and then glue the figures down where they are, and then do a little bit of the goop around those figures. Because if I put them down and then put the goop, there's no way I'm going to be able to get between them all. It's kind of like the same way I have to build a chariot. I've got to do it in several steps so that I'm able to. I almost screwed it up royally this morning by putting this Pope and not being able to get behind the chair there. but I managed to dodge that bullet. So we've got this guy who's going to be peeking out about so. So we can't put the guard right on the corner. We'll have to put him up a little bit. So we're going to put him about there. What do we got? We got more commentary. You're accompanying for breakfast. Excellent. So what's breakfast in your part of the world? Hopefully it's not English breakfast. Kelly Davis, welcome back. The camera view is great. Looks higher def. It is. It's finally available. Studio, I still haven't seen your video. I'm sorry. I've been at work. Damn it. I'd rather be watching your videos than being at work. Is there any elephant poo in it? I hope so. That was hilarious. That was hilarious. Elephant poo. All right, let's cut this into strips. Yeah, you haven't been on here, Kelly. Hope all's well. Hope you've just been busy. So the secret, of course, was we ditched our AT&T DSL line that we've had for 20 years. We've had the same crummy internet speed for 20 years. And I have a great phone signal here. I've got a 5G signal on my phone. But YouTube, once they see that you're streaming live on a phone signal, they limit you to 720p, which honestly isn't good enough for this. There's just nothing I can do about it. Now, I did a speed test on my business cable modem line, which we got, and a speed test on my phone, and they're about the same. So my phone is able to do the same amount as the cable line. However, it gets treated like an inferior product by YouTube, and it did not allow me to stream higher. I mean, this phone can handle 8K, you know? So that's why I don't want to buy a camera, because I'm going to spend a lot of money on a camera, and it's not going to have as good a resolution as the phone is. So it's rice for breakfast. Yeah. I may tinker with it at some point and see if we can get even more juice out of it. Because right now, what is my computer running percentage-wise? It is using 10% of the CPU. So we could jack this up something crazy. Maybe next time I'll go out and try to get even better. But of course, if you guys don't have that setting to that higher setting, you won't see that. But I actually have a 4K display on my laptop. I don't on my big TV. My big TV will not be replaced until it dies, or until we get the next... what's the new Xbox called that nobody can get? Is it Series X, or I don't know. They don't come up with names, but there's no reason to get a 4K TV if I don't watch anything on 4K. And I don't need reasons to play more video games. This is you play video games. I play video games and I end up getting angry because they're frustrating, or you don't get left alone, or whatever. Not even with other people, just against the video game. This is 100% relaxation. Even these adversarial things that could happen, adversity, This is all good stuff. The day it becomes not, I'll stop doing this. You know, I don't need that stress in my life. You upgraded from DSL to high-speed cable when we started work from home. Wow. Yeah. Confess that 2 camera angles freaks me out. Every time Tony glances at his screen for new messages, it looks like he's looking at me. I am looking into your soul. Yeah, and it's dark. It's dark just like mine. The devil doesn't want your soul. That's how dark it is. He doesn't want mine either. We can just hang out in limbo together. Nobody wants us. It's kind of like being a free agent. No need for 4 or 8K TV until media catches up. Yeah. Yep. The sound's a lot better too. Bought a mic. So I don't mind throwing money at a problem as long as it fixes it. But if it creates more drama for me, like it took a long time. There's some things that should be easy to figure out. Okay, it should be really easy to figure out. Connect your phone to use as a camera to your computer. Right, done. It should know. Oh no, there was all kinds of stuff I had to do, and I had to watch YouTube videos on it. I'm like, why isn't this working? No. So I got that resolved. I don't like technology stuff because, you're trying to figure out how to get something configured and you're not filming, which means you're not painting, which means you're not getting therapy. Those people that just keep working at something and you don't get anywhere, that's not the good job for me. I'm not a technology person. Like, well, let's try something else. So I've been 3 hours doing this and I have nothing to show for it. That's not my cup of tea. I'd much rather be working on, some figure that takes 10 hours to paint, but slowly I'm going towards the finish line. Not get these moments of where I'm stuck and I'm not making any progress. Makes me want to give up. And a little bit deeper. Careful, this is a family channel. Hey, there's a warning on my page. Everybody seems to get it. I haven't really gotten any complaints. I just like to tell it like it is. We're here just hanging out, There's lots of stuff I don't like on the internet, and I don't comment. I just go somewhere else. I only have to deal with things I don't like while I'm at work being paid. On my personal life, I'm like, I don't like that thing over there. I don't go over there. I avoid it. DBA in purgatory. I'm in. There you go. Roll for terrain. Want to make sure this guy's deep enough because this guy is the one that's the closest to the carpet and the closest to the edge of the stand, so we don't want any issues here. And cutting on wood is like a breeze compared to cutting on metal. Or lead, as I affectionately refer it to. I don't know, it probably doesn't have a high percentage of lead anymore, does it? Still always call it lead. The lead mountain. You got a cobblestone floor at a base. That's a sadist. No, I'm not that crazy. Yeah, recessing the figures because the stands were too damn tall and I can't like goop up that high. It's gonna look weird. So I made a mistake. I made a miscalculation. I did not respect the fact that this could have happened. But I'm almost done. This is the fourth one I got to do, so I'm in pretty good shape. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. Next up is going to be gooping. Goopery. There's going to be some goopery. And I think what I'm going to do is this figure at the back with a banner, we'll glue him down. And then we can goop around him. Because he's about where he needs to be. Thickness-wise. And this guy, I think we may just roll with a monk. We'll build him up. So we'll glue these two guys down. And then we'll do the goop around everything except these four guys that gives us access to all that other stuff. I guess technically I could probably glue them down, but... Yeah, it might be safe to go ahead and goop them. Nah, it's gonna get really hairy around here. I better take it in steps. The goopery. Yeah, I forget there's a second camera. But you kind of need, I don't know. Do you need it? I don't know. Might make the metal used as a sanding station. Might hurt the figure periodically. At least I would. Dremel available? Yeah, it's too fast. I don't have a slow Dremel. My wife went to a garage sale and bought $10 for this Dremel-like thing. It wasn't a Dremel. It was a Ching Chang Chung El Cheapo used thing. And it's just too damn fast. And it's dangerous as hell. This, if I cut myself with this, it's not going to be the end of the world. That's like, I could take a finger off. Like I've taken some Matchbox cars apart by taking a drill, and you have to hold the car and take the drill and drill in it, and you got to be really careful it doesn't slip and go into your... And I haven't had an accident, but man, I'm scared. And I'm like holding it with like a death grip. So it doesn't... It's just too damn dangerous. So... Yeah, I do have one, but... I don't feel the need to buy a Dremel set that's... What are they? A good one, like that has that telescoping thing with a variable speed. $100. I just haven't found the need to spend $100 on one of those. Same thing. Like I've just decided I'm not going to buy an airbrush. I've used that airbrush back in the early '90s, and I just don't want to spend the time cleaning it. You know, and you make a mess with it, like putting paint in and out. And I'm not used to making a mess, says the guy covered in sawdust. But, you know, like paint and stuff, I'm not used to making a mess. I'm working with tiny quantities that what would I mess up? Okay, it looks like side to side is about okay when you make it enlarge it a tiny little bit. And then we should be good to go. Let's come in here. This is the guy that I ground on this morning. Oh, I gotta go over here. So I ground on this guy for like 15 minutes and he lost such a tiny amount. I need to get some more liquid. Gaslands, yeah. Yep. It's a fun game. It has one problem though. Last time we played, we didn't finish. It's a fun game. But we don't know how to play it well enough to merit shooting a video. But it's a game that is worth shooting a video of because insane stuff happens. Especially when Luke gets behind the wheel. You know, if the authorities saw how Luke played that game, he should have his real driver's license revoked. He is just a menace to society. Not me. I don't take any risks and try to hose people. You know, I drive the same way I play, war games, conservatively and try to hose people. But yeah, he's crazy. Like, I wonder what happens if I slam into this wall. Well, what do you think? Speaking of which, I have one of these walls from Phalanx Consortium that I did paint up. It's made out of this clipboard material. And you guys can take a look at that while I go get some more beverage. I got like 20 of them to paint, and I only got one painted so far. I feel a lot better having all this water in me. I forget to drink water sometimes. Well, I do at work a lot, and there hasn't been a water machine at work now for a long time. So you got to bring your own water, and it's just a pain in the ass. Can we go back to how things were? Now! Anyhow, yeah, painted this with craft paints. So, yeah, Gasland's a fun game. But I don't have time to do other stuff. I don't. I mentioned this the other day. The interesting thing about Gaslands is people get on there, they'll make this really cool vehicle. And I'm like, I need help naming it. I'm like, dude, I've already named the vehicle and named the driver based on how I'm going to build the vehicle. But that's just me. That's the most fun part. Only thing I don't like about Gaslands is I don't like their fluff. I don't like the make-believe. Here it is. All I had to do is stop looking for it. This is the file I was using to file down the bottom of the figure. I don't like the fluff story, the background story that Gaslands has. But that's easy. You don't have to play with that. You don't have to play with those teams. I've actually never played with the teams. Or you could just rename them. I just think that I would have come up with a better background than that. But it's a fine game. It's a fun game. The management of those dice and what you get is what it's all about. And in some ways, it's even better than the pip roll, having to manage that. Looking forward to seeing the goop. I have my mix. You have yours. Always looking, learn more. Yeah, I used to use white glue and sand from work. I'd mix them together. And my first 6 or 7 armies were done that way. And now I walked into Michael's one time and they had the Liquitex stuff already pre-made. and enjoyed it. I've got a video on my channel showing how I do the basing. My standard, it's this basing here. And it's in fast speed. So the video's only, I think, like 4 minutes long or something like that. So, you know, we sped it up as I did it, but that video took a long time to do. Editing wise and stuff. But it's probably the most professional looking video I have. You know, I could make my game videos better, but that's going to cut into my production time of figures. And you know, that's really what I'm here for, is to do this. So other people are always going to make better videos than me, and that's just fine. But now this is the guy that has the weird short spear that had the tip that was broken, but that's what I had to deal with. So we're going to put him there because hopefully some of the flag will flutter in front of his spear and people won't notice it as much. Okay, so we're going to put this guy over here. So the problem is the width. So we're just going to cut some of the width off this figure, which I don't know if I can, because it's not much I have to get him to fit in there. I'm tired of grinding and grinding and grinding on that. Let's try this. I don't have to take much off. But it is a hard alloy because it was so hard I didn't replace the spears on these guys. They're sturdy enough. Come on, you nutnik. Drop in there. He's in there. He's just not in over here. I can't go any closer to him there. Man, I guess let's get a little closer to the edge. Living on the edge. Well, see how much we can get done, because about 9 I need to be off. The girls will probably be here sooner. Around that time, they went to Atlanta today. They went to Atlanta yesterday, and they wanted me to go, and I'm like, yeah, I can't take off work. We're a bit busy. Ready for things to slow down a bit. It just doesn't seem to. We've been balls to the wall since 2012. No end in sight. Can't work from home. Would love to work from home. Just one day. Can I wear, what I'm wearing now and work? I'm not asking to run around naked. Just let me wear comfortable whatevers and be in the temperature of my choosing. I don't know why this bastard's not going down. Is it just that figure? No, we're not going to use him. There. I really don't know what the problem is. All right. Screw you, pal. We're going to go to the edge. You lose. Okay, now if he doesn't fit, I'm throwing this whole thing in the garbage. I kid. All right, now he fits in there. That's fine. We can just goop up to the edge there. Okay, perfect. Insolent. Insolent figure. All right, this guy goes up here. this guy goes up here. And then this guy goes over here. And then this guy will go over here. We'll turn it around so you guys can see. And the flag's not super fancy. It just has going to have the crossed keys of the Pope. And the only reason, honestly, I'm even doing a flag is so that it's easier to find on the battlefield as a player, you know, because it doesn't get very high up there. I just want to just peek it over a tiny little bit, like. So that's what the stand's going to look like. Good morning, Kevin. Good morning. You mean good evening? Oh. Okay. So that's what the layout is going to be of this stand. So what are we going to put together with epoxy? It is going to be a royal pain to try to get in the front of his figure that holds the banner if he's in the way. Okay? So we're not going to put him down yet. And I'm going to not put those guys as well. We know where they go. There's the outline of their figures. So we're going to glue him down, and we're going to glue the banner bearer guy down. Okay? Or epoxy them down. So let's go grab a little piece of cardboard. I could still use the same one that's over here. Thank you, Kelly. Oh, we'll see when he looks like with the stand done. And I'd say all of these figures are very lackluster looking. I mean, at least unpainted wise. They're very lackluster. There's nothing exciting. Nobody's running around, oh, I can't wait to buy those spear figures that Tony has. I don't even know what manufacturer these guys are. No idea. Nobody's told me yet. But these were figures that were sent to me by Kevin Mello, and I really liked them, and they fit the bill. His brother, I believe, passed away a few years ago, and he had a bunch of figures, and he sent them my way. See if I could use them. Oh, heck yeah! We're gonna do some fun stuff in here that hopefully he's looking down on us and enjoying them. But thank you very much. We'll try to make him proud here, but. I like these old school figures, as I like to call them. You know? Don't need to buy the latest and the greatest. These old figures paint up just fine. You just might need to mix them up in different... Man, this hardener is stinky. So what I used to do is I used to take a little piece of basswood or a toothpick and use it to mix the epoxy. Well, if you use a needle, and yes, the front is sanded down so I don't poke myself, you can always scrape the end of it and reuse it time and time again. I've been very happy with the results of that. All right. Let that set a little bit. Looks like a horde. Kind of is. I think you mean a whore. He looks like a whore. That would be more accurate. All right. I want to put him far enough away. I want him peeking around beside it and far enough away from the edge so that if I have another unit up on the edge behind him, there's space for them. There's nothing more annoying than not being able to get figures to the stands to mesh with each other. So he just peeks out a little bit, make sure the coast is clear. And that's where we're going to have him. And then the monk, we like him exactly where he is. Or disciple, I don't know. Messenger. Uber Eats. Order taker. I have no idea. Whatever, you know. Okay. Are there any of these positions here that we could possibly go ahead and glue the guy down? Let's see what this guy looks like. If I glue him here, is it going to be easy to get around him? Yeah, we could probably do that one. What about the one up here at the front? We could probably get around that guy too. Okay. What about this guy? Definitely. So what's the problem? Is it only this bastard that's over here? I think I'm going to glue them all down. Damn it! I didn't mix enough up. See? I just keep making mistakes. I know some people who probably would not do a video of showing how to play a game or whatever, because if they made a mistake, they wouldn't want people to know that they made a mistake. And I'm like, dude, man, we're all human. As long as you don't keep making the same mistake over and over again, whatever, you know. I want to be perfect. It's never going to happen. I'm always going to come up short. It's just one of those things. Now, there's some things I don't like to do. I'll be honest with you. I hate doing klutzy things. Okay? Because nobody likes a klutz. Okay? Only Chevy Chase can pull that shit off. Okay? You're not Chevy Chase. You don't need to be klutzing around doing stuff. So. Yeah, these guys are going to look pretty freaking cool. It's going to be unique looking. You know, it's going to look like nothing else I have. So, you know, that's an appeal in and of itself. I don't know how this army will fight. I think they're extremely defensive. Which I'm not a massive fan of armies that are really defensive, but I don't want them to all be the same either. Otherwise, why even build other ones? Let's put this up here on something that doesn't move. Now, we of course have to use a utensil. It's Sean Connery as William von Bakersville. No idea. Is that the guy that he played on Highlander? I don't know. Everybody liked that movie growing up. I didn't care for it. I like Sean Connery. Everybody likes Sean Connery. Not a big fan of Connery as Bond, though. I grew up with Roger Moore, and I think his delivery was better. For those of you that grew up with Sean Connery as Bond, then obviously you feel differently, but oh, wrong way. Backwards camera. Brother Asser, the Papal Spy. John Mifkovic. How you doing up there? And how's it going in Canada, eh? Sorry about you living so far away. You guys are so freaking nice up there, apologizing for everything. I love it. So I sent Mitch, or I posted a picture of I was in the grocery store of a rutabaga, and it was a rutabaga, and I sent it to him, and underneath it said from Canada or product of Canada, right? And he replied with, "Sorry about that." Oh man, I love it. I love it. He's the monk inquisitor from The Name of the Rose. I've never seen The Name of the Rose. I've never seen The Name of the Rose. Oh. Hello from El Paso. Welcome. Do you have the banner picked out yet? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Okay, perfect. This is a perfect example for me to try to use this technology that I suck at. Let's see if I can show you what the banner looks like. And do the correct link, and hopefully it's not a porn site. All right, so let me go. I'm a total noob with this. Go here. Okay, we're going to go in studio mode. And give me a second here. Oh man, how do I do that? Let's do screen share here. Okay, so you guys are still seeing the normal view. I'm going to set something up here. Now the problem is I don't know what screen it's going to share. So let's move this smaller and be up here. Okay, perfect. We can do that. All right, now let me open a new window. And this is what I do. I end up talking to myself sometimes. You know, it's not arguing with self, it's talking to yourself. You actually are allowed to argue with yourself. You're just not allowed to argue with yourself and lose the argument. That's just, you know, that doesn't make any sense. I lost the window I had here. What happened? Okay, so we're going to go to screen share, but I don't want to share that screen. How do I do the screen I'm looking at here? This screen. Now if I go back, there it is. Okay. Here and then here. Okay, perfect. All right. All right, let's try this. Let's try to transition to this site here. Okay, and this is a site I was talking to you about that's no longer available. So don't put things on the internet that you don't like, because that might get you into trouble, because it can always be found later. So on Wayback Machine, I want to say these guys are in Sweden. They have this great site of flags and things like that. And you can see the address here, what it is. HTTP Kriegspiel DK download /download _ to HTML. You could still find it. It is an awesome website for flags. Let's transition back over. And I'm going to move. Oh, that's how I do that? Okay. Let's transition back. No, I can't move it over. It's transition back. All right. I can move it apparently here. So if you look down, there's a heading under Medieval and Renaissance. And if you go down to the Holy Roman Empire, and I'll show you where it is. I'm just moving it to where it is on this site. And now I've reached the end of the page. What the hell happened? I'm still new to this. In case you couldn't tell. Let me go over to the other page and move it where it needs to be. There is a condottieri and Italian city-states. I've moved that over there. So let's see. It should be on the screen. There it is. And this is the heading here, called condottieri and Italian city-states. And there is one of the things under here, number 5, flags for the Papal State. Okay? So under flags for the Papal State, we go down here and we select that. And now we go back to this screen, move this where it needs to be. I don't know why it's not showing the whole thing. Okay, there we go. And these are some of the flags here that they have on there. So the one that I'm thinking of doing would be probably this one here that has the little hat. The one that says from mid 14th century there in the center. But any of those would work. Probably not the two towards the bottom. They're a little too basic looking. But that's one of those that I'm going to do. So I'm probably going to open up that in a paint program. I may print it to see what it looks like. And if it doesn't give you enough contrast, open it up in a paint program, modify it some so that it has... so that it has a little bit more detail and do it that way. But that's what I'm thinking of. So how did that work with the transitions? I know I'm still like a dumbass when it comes to that, but I'm going to try to get better. And the only way I'm going to be better is by continuing to do that. So that's the idea for the flag. It's going to be a red and white. This is a very red and white stand, other than the little carpet that's on there, the monk that's sitting there, and the throne as well. So now these guys should be fairly dry. Good. Now you guys can see what it looks like overhead. So there's a lot going on there. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this turns out. All right, let's get on the goop. Can we do the goop in half an hour? It seems like it'd be easy to do, but I don't rush things. They get done when they get done. And that doesn't mean I take my sweet time, but back when we used to play racing games on the computer, we had a saying called, "You can't crash fast enough to win." If you get careless, you're not going to get very far. All right, this is the goop here that we use. It's called Liquitex Resin Sand. There's other flavors of it as well, of thickness. I'm happy with the resin sand. You end up getting a rocky type surface like this that works for just about every environment. Oh my gosh, his sword got bent. What? Anyhow, it's let's get to work on this now. This is a tool that we need to use. We also may need a brush of unusual condition, not unusual size, unusual condition. And where is our little cap that we can put some of this stuff on? All right. Let's grab some of it here. It's just easier to manage. Do I always sink the figure in the base? I've never done it before. This is the first time I did it. And the reason I did it, you'll see, is because I want to build this stuff around it. I didn't want him to be on a major mound. It's because I laid this carpet on the flat surface and the figure's base was too tall. So I've never done it before. And probably will never have to do it again. Not that it was a huge pain. Honestly, it really wasn't. I just wasn't expecting to have that issue. All right, so let's get in with this, and we're going to have to keep one of these nearby. This stuff is water soluble. So say something happens where you don't like how the base... Oh, man, I don't need to bend over. I'm not at work. Bend over enough there while I'm at it. It is water soluble, so if you don't like how this turns out, or you forget to keep this on your tools, you can just put your tools in water and this stuff will come right off. All right, so let's place this in here in front. Now we're going to do this thinner than we ever do because we don't want this to be a huge height difference between the carpet and this ground. All right, so we're going to bring the ground up close. To where this carpet is. If I had more practice using the green stuff, I may have done this differently. But the problem is I am really not confident in using the green stuff at all. So I didn't want to put this. I didn't want to try to put this carpet on an uneven surface. That's really kind of what brought everything about. Now, when we build up the figure around it like this, now we don't have that much of a build-up. Still going to be up a little higher, and that's okay. But yeah, I've actually never had to do that before. Never done it, never felt like I had to do it. It's sticking in. It's behaving differently than it ever has. Distract easy. So having that little thing moving off in the corner of my eye, I'm like, that's got to stop. Yeah, this takes a long time because I'm having to be careful with it. I don't want to get stuff on this carpet and have to redo it. And this will dry overnight. It'll dry semi-clear. All right, let's see if I can use this brush to get it where it needs to be a little better. And it shrinks a small amount, not a huge amount, but it does have some shrinkage. In other words, you could put it up to the edge of a figure and then you come back and it sank a little bit below it, just be from evaporation. I'm not sure what the binding agent is here, but there's like some little resin beads in here that would simulate, kind of like rocks or something like that. Oh, the brush is working a hell of a lot better. I was having trouble releasing off that metal thing with this. I said it wasn't behaving like it normally does. Okay, that corner is done. Let's do the part in front of the... Oh, I got to remind myself, too, of something. I will forget, and then I got a small problem in my hands. And that is... It's not one of these two. My pile of rocks. I want this rock material out here so I remember to stick it in this stuff while it's soft. I don't have to glue it in later. I got a little tray where all this stuff's supposed to stay organized, but it never does. All right. I'll leave the rocks here. What happened? Did we lose a camera? No, I'm just on a different screen than I thought I was. Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll have to remember put those little rocks on there. All right, back to where we were. As we were. Let's just push this up to the edge of the carpet. So if you look at the front at eye level, that's what it looks like. Let's just keep working our way around. And here is a big spot. So let's just take a big swath and put it there. It's sticking to this for some reason. And then we'll just move it over here into position. And the other part that takes a long time is once this is dried, is actually painting this brown. Just painting it the standard brown color. It takes a long time because you want to get everywhere, and you also don't want to get anywhere that you don't want to get. So you got to be careful that you don't overpaint something and then have to go back and fix it. So hopefully tomorrow morning when I wake up, I have enough time to paint the base brown color so we can hit the ground running when I come back from work and finish the rest of this up. We still have the crossbowmen to do with this army, but I may not be able to do them next. They may have to wait until the Amorites are complete. We'll just see how close they come in. If they come in soon, then we should be able to just roll right into them. 2 stands of crossbowmen in this army that we're talking about, by the way. Put this big piece in here and manipulate it. Likewise, we're just going to take this stuff here and use it to fill in the edge of this guy. In front of this flag bearer in the carpet is another tight spot. And then when you paint this and you're done, you're going to be, I like to put grass in places that are less than satisfied where the finish is, maybe. Use it to hide little imperfections. Like I said, this takes a little bit of time. But there's no point getting sloppy at this point and ruining everything you spent all this time doing. Should have just been sloppy from the get-go if you're going to do that. Yeah. Let's see what we got here. Gonna get some painting done now, Tony. Thanks for keeping me company during breakfast. There you go. Rice for breakfast. I like rice, but I don't like eating it because I eat it and a little while later I'm hungry again. And yeah, I don't need to. I got enough, let's call it baggage. I don't need any more rice. But it is good. Especially that basmati. Oh, I love that stuff. Good stuff. I need to find a way to get the chat box to get bigger, so I don't have, so I can actually see it from this distance. Where I can't, I can just see it like, oh, it looks like there's another little icon there. It's different. Let's see who wrote something. Put on your glasses and see. All right, let's get this stuff in here where the monk is. We have rice almost every day. Perfect. I can't. I'd be bigger. We don't need bigger. Bigger is not better. Yeah, but I do like rice. There's no doubt about it. Let's put some of this stuff here. All right, let's see if we can get in between. Yep. think we're pretty good on that. Now what we're going to do is, I like to run my finger across the edge and make sure there's no protrusions so you don't have a stand that won't fit flush against another one. Okay. Now, let's get our little rocks. We don't have to put that very many of them, but just a few. And get our tweezers. Ah, poo. Okay, I think that'll work. Just a few rocks there. Mix it up. And now, we're done. Now we gotta wait for this guy to do his thing overnight so we can do the next step. There it is. There he is. In all of his glory. Okay, well, thanks for stopping by, folks, and we'll catch you guys next time. And the final chapter here of the Pope thing. So, getting there, finishing it up. So, all right. Well, you have a good night, and how long are we on here? 2 hours, almost 2 hours even. Okay. Thanks for stopping by, folks, and happy painting. Bye-bye.